Don't miss any of the action at Oceanside, Chula Vista, Torrey Pines, and many more San Diego schools. Download the free UT Preps app on Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Thank you very much, guys, for checking in with San Diego Prep Insider. It's time for our baseball podcast. My name is Christian Pedersen. This is David Ring. We are coming at you from inside the Canyonside Baseball and Softball Academy. We are minus one team member today. Tommy Morris will rejoin us next week, but for now, it's just us.
I like it.
We're gonna get to a little bit of everything, some fair or foul, top tens, game balls, all that. So let's just get going right out of the chute, David. Give out some game balls.
All right, cool. It's a little pitcher-heavy game ball week for me, but nothing against that. Randy Abshire, sophomore pitcher at Otay Ranch. This guy is a 6'5" sophomore, throws high 80s. He is lights out right now. 33 Ks, 22 innings. An opponent batting average of 157. That's probably fun for the defense, huh? I got Matt Rudick. He's over at Scripps Ranch. You guys have heard about him this year a little bit. Versus Christian this year was 5 for 5. Actually, this was last week. 5 for 5, 13 total bases, 2 bombs. Quite the day. Congrats, Matt. Michael Mercado over at Westview. 6 shutout innings versus Vista. You'll see Vista's in my top 10 this week. They're a solid team. He had 7 Ks versus those guys, so that's quite a day. And last pitcher, Ivan Luna. Ivan's a starting pitcher at Vista. He's got 4 starts from what I have for him this year. 0 earned runs, 2 complete games. Last week they beat RB 9-5, and he pretty much dominated against them. Part of the reason why I got them in the top 10 this week. So
very cool. We'll get to that top 10. I got a couple game balls to give out. First, we go to Mike Devine from Mount Carmel. 2 for 3 RBI and a run scored in a 2-1 win over Fallbrook, so accounting for both of those runs, that was clutch. Nick Long from Sarah, multi-hit, multi-RBI game as the Conquistadors kind of whooped up on Bishops. A little bit of an unexpected lopsided victory there. And Cole Reibel, hope I'm saying that right, from Mission Hills, threw a CG shutout against Oceanside. So I too joined you with the pitcher there at the end. A little bit of offense for me though.
Lots of CGs in those game balls.
Lots of CGs, lots of very impressive pitching performances. I mean, how can you not love a pitcher's duel?
Right.
When the Padres are not putting up any runs, like you gotta imagine that the high school kids can do it against them too.
Exactly.
But I digress. We move to the top 10. David, I'll start with Tommy's top 10 that he sent in for us. I'll do Tommy's style of counting down from 10 to give it some excitement. We go Grossmont at 10, Torrey Pines at 9, St. Augustine 8, Carlsbad 7, Vista 6, Granite Hills 5, Cathedral 4, Rancho Bernardo 3, Eastlake 2, and La Costa Canyon takes the top spot. David, share us yours.
Well, me and Tommy are pretty similar this week. You know, I moved LCC into the number 1 spot. So I've got them at number 1, RB at number 2, Cathedral at number 3. They moved up a spot for me. Granite Hills looking really solid. They're at number 4. Eastlake at number 5. Like I said earlier, Vista I put in my number 6 spot this week. They're really playing some good ball. St. Augustine, the Saints are in number 7 for me. Grossmont number 8. And I got Coronado squeaking into number 9 this week for me. They've been on fire at the plate, like Christian said last week. And at number 10, I've got Carlsbad, Santana, and Torrey Pines, all battling for that last spot right there. It's tough getting all these teams into the top 10. It's just,
well, absolutely.
It's really difficult.
You bring up an interesting team there at the end that we really haven't talked a whole lot about this season, and that's Santana.
Totally.
They are kind of hovering, depending on what formula you look at it, in that bubble of being able to be talked about as a top 10 team now. They've got some pretty decent pitching shutting it down, and when you've got pitching limiting teams scoring against you, you're going to get a shot at that top 10. So very interesting to see what the Sultans can keep bringing as we close in now in the second half of the season. Let's move to one of our favorite segments, Fair or Foul. First, Fair or Foul. Strength of schedule is less important in baseball than in other sports.
I'm going to say foul for that. As a coach, I prefer to play tougher teams. It kind of gets you ready for that mindset of, always being at your best, being ready defensively every day for that number one pitcher the other team's going to throw you. I mean, it gets you in that mindset of always being playoff ready. And what we see at the end of the season is basically the teams that stay hot are the ones that continue on to the CIF tournaments and stuff. So I'm going to say foul. I definitely think it's important to have a good strength of schedule. That helps with later in the season.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one, and I'm going to say fair. To me, looking at strength of schedule in baseball is somewhat of a misnomer, because you see some of these games where a team does not win or beats somebody that they should or shouldn't have, and you're not getting the same team in baseball every single outing. Right. Your pitching rotation might not line up with another team's pitching rotation so that number one is pitching against number one. You could run into it, on a Friday after a hard week of having your other guys have to throw long games to keep you in it, and then you run into a bad team that has their number one going, and you just get a game snaked from you. So to me, strength of schedule in baseball comes with a little bit of a pump the brakes before you fully analyze it. Because if I'm the head coach and I'm looking at it, I don't know if I necessarily want to challenge my guys nonstop so much as sprinkle in some big time challenges for my team, but then also just have those opportunities to win. Yeah. Because at some point, even if you're telling your kids, hey, look, just because we're not beating the top 4 or 5 teams in the county doesn't mean we're not that 6th team. It can get a little tedious.
You can see some of these records are a little confusing too. You look at some of the top 10 teams, and like RB has 4 losses, but some of those losses are to, Granite Hills or a Vista, where they face some of their best pitching, and
Well, absolutely,
so it's hard to kind of determine.
And that's what makes it hard, though, is that when good beats good, kind of throws all of this into a bit of a turmoil, because top beating bottom makes sense.
Exactly.
La Costa Canyon is not going to take on some D5 school and get anything out of it. Exactly. But it all in all is a very tough discussion to say, how do I really want to make this season out for my team? Mm-hmm. We will see, though, at the end who is coming out on top and if strength of schedule really is relevant or not.
You're starting to see some of these formulas being a little more accurate because of the more games we're playing, so you're starting to get to see a chance to see these games a little more.
We're talking a lot about pitchers earlier in the show. That'll help us transition into our second fair or foul. Fair or foul, David, high school pitchers should have an innings limit.
Well, usually for high school teams, the depth in the bullpen isn't as good, so you look at some of these guys like, Ivan Luna, who's throwing a CG. I'm not sure how his bullpen is, but he's really picking up his bullpen, for weeks that they have 3 games, and really eating some of those innings up, allows the bullpen to get a rest, and it gives some of these guys a chance to maybe only have to pitch 1 or 2 innings here and there. And, I'd like to see my number one pitcher on my team throw all my innings, obviously. And so for me, I'm going to manage the pitch count, but if the kid can throw a complete game in 7 innings, it's probably going to be somewhat manageable if he's doing well.
So you're saying that just because the game itself is shorter and you're not asking a kid to go 120 pitches over 9 innings, that you're okay with him throwing complete games?
Yeah, for a high school kid, I'm definitely going to have him throw 100 pitches.
Okay.
Something close to that. But anything beyond that, is just putting too much stress on a kid's arm at this age. And, once a week, 100 pitches sounds good. It's a good round number. I mean, it's kind of a myth that's the number.
So you go more pitch count limit than innings limit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm going to go fair on this, and I just come from the side of protecting the players. And I know that that's probably going to mean insulting some of you guys who are physically capable of going out there and throwing a complete game. But to me, when I look at a lot of these pitchers, a lot of them are not pitcher onlys in the high school level. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about that innings cap of, he only threw 7 innings this week, he only threw 10 innings, whatever it is. Because a lot of these times, these pitchers will then turn around and go play shortstop. They'll then turn around and go play outfield, and they're going to continue throwing and continue throwing and continue throwing. So I am concerned about that with some of these teams expecting pitchers to pull double duty and have to work hard all season long and then ultimately cost themselves in the long run because their arm just can't handle it yet. So I'm going to go with fair. I'm going to say that pitchers should probably have an innings limit. Is if that's in game versus a whole week versus a whole month. I don't specifically have a good formula to fix it because everybody's arm does exist differently. But I see an innings limit more as a protection for the rest of their career off the mound.
Totally.
But, we would love to know all of your input out there because this is obviously something that is not a new debate.
Right.
This is something that Little League has always dealt with it, through Big League has dealt with it. Pitchers looking great, feeling great, but then just one pitch too many and there goes their arm and there goes their season. So interesting to see.
The most likely time for injury is when you're tired, so.
Absolutely.
That's when you got to really monitor it and make sure the kid's not too tired and getting, out of his mechanics
and you talk about the desire to pitch that complete game.
Exactly.
To me, sometimes that can cloud the judgment of you're looking at it, we're in the 6th, we're only up 2, you've been throwing a great game. Does your arm hurt? Well, no, but I've got adrenaline pumping and I really want to beat these guys and I see the look in my coach's face of like, does your arm hurt? Wink, wink, we don't have anybody else to throw, something along those lines. It would leave me a little concerned. So
definitely want to monitor it.
Yes, but we will leave that there. We will now move to meeting a guy who is a shortstop like yourself at a school where you went to. So we will meet basically the new David Ring. His name's Jacob Friedman. He's a sophomore shortstop at University City. Let's get to know him. Jacob, thank you very much for joining us here in the cage. We're going to get right to it. You are a sophomore on varsity. It's a big position to have, but we're gonna put you in the coaching position for a second. We were talking strength of schedule earlier in the show. If you are planning out the season, what kind of strength of schedule are you putting together for University City?
It's definitely important to play some competitive teams early in the season because without that, you're not going to have a chance in those high-intensity games when league rolls around and, of course, in the playoffs. But it's also important to have a reasonable schedule and not go into league when it really matters 5 games under 500.
All right, Jake, so what's it been like earning the starting position, as a sophomore? It's been pretty cool seeing you get over there. What's it like?
It's great, but I try not to think about it. I don't think about it at all. I just go out every single day, play some baseball, and try to contribute to some team wins.
Last question before we let you get going. A lot of youth on University City. What can we expect out of you guys for the next couple of seasons?
We're always going to compete and win some games. We'll be in contention all through my high school career, and I'm sure farther along the line too.
Jacob, thank you very much for joining us. Cool kid.
Yeah, he's a great kid.
Shortstops from UC are pretty cool people, I guess.
Right. A little biased, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We like him. Young kid in a big position. Maybe a lot to see out of him next week, next season, next year, all that. So, David, that brings us to the end.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. We're missing Tommy, but he'll be back. We're just gonna leave it on the note of, as we go into the second half of the season now, there's we're out of tournament play. We're into some league play almost. Yeah. We're very excited to get out there and see us. So let us know what league matchups, what rivalry games you want us to go check out, because we want to see what's good. We want to see who's good, and we want to keep going.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Take it easy, guys.